Mr. Habibullah Karim, I know him for decades now. He's an electric engineer, but for me, he is more a policy activist. And the other two authors, I don't have personal acquaintance, unfortunately. Mr. Kamrul Mina, he is a computer scientist and a software entrepreneur. And we have Mr. Ghulam Samdani, I've just heard him through in a digital fashion. He's a scholar and a management consultant. Very three unique people, combine their very unique expertise to bring this book together. And what is this book all about? Let me paraphrase their words which they have said in the chapter or in the introduction, why this book. They say, the transformative role of information and communication technology they wanted to put forward a bold outlook. And what is this bold outlook? It is to get away from the old-fashioned industrialization and get into the new era of virtualization. Now, for them to do that, they are proposing to leapfrog from the current state of Bangladesh to a digital Bangladesh across the decade. Now, I don't understand so much about virtualization. I'm an economist, I understand more about industrialization. And I know something, but that when you have an idea which rolls over, if you are not part of the steamroller, you will be part of the road. It will roll over you. So I have tried to learn something, how it is all about. And read the chapters as fast as I could. Now if you look at the book, it is a very well structured one. The structures, if you follow, in my own words I will put to you. The authors first take up a retrospect. I think it's always good to have a historical view, retrospect, look back to go forward. And they take a retrospect how the concept of digitization in Bangladesh has taken shape, how it has evolved through individuals and institutions, and with very small, humble efforts, how it has grown into a national vision. I think that's that chapter is all about. I strongly recommend that you read that chapter, irrespective of your discipline, to know the beginning of a great idea in this country. If you move on to the second chapter, it is the big world, the bold new world, where the idea of information and communication technology was taking shape. It is not only about billionaires, young people in their mid-20s or early 30s becoming billionaires. It's more than that. And how you apply this new technology to the betterment of people, to the economic development, structural change, and in the era of globalization and connectivity and social networking. I think that is the experiences which has been contained in the second chapter, if you look at it. The third one moves on in a very natural way to the policy framework. What actually exists, what are the regulatory, first they go into the basic laws which are available, and then the regulatory framework, what is the experience in this regard and thereafter. So it's a very natural progression. And if you have the policy, one would also like to see what exactly you are going to do with the policy. So the next chapter is all about capital investment. You've got some estimates over here. They talk about not only about the volume of investment required for this or the other, they also talk about sourcing, both in terms of private, public, more about private and joint ventures and foreign investments over there. Now, if you have the policy, if you have the capital, then you need to do the implementation. So the chapter 5 is all about implementation. So how you really get the thing going, a hands-on application. You see, they always talk about it's an easy book or a made easy for action. So that is how it is over there. And towards the end, the penultimate chapter is about projection of the future. It's not only 2021, but even going beyond. They call it Bridge 1 and Bridge 2. The Bridge 1 is the first decade, the Bridge 2 is the second decade. And finally, you end up with a reflective conclusion. Now, regarding the writing style, I must tell you, I just mentioned the content. Regarding the writing style, I must emphasize, it's a very, very engaging writing style. Quite different from what we write. Quite different from what we write. It's not as dry as our economic analysis. It's a very engaging one. It's a very lucid one. It's quite a witty one, I would also say. And they use appropriate experiences from the country. They bring in the great global experience to our door through this book. And finally, if you are a great lover of quotations, use the book only for quotations, even if you don't read the book at all. So I think they have peppered you with very, very good quotations, which I enjoyed tremendously reading. Now, if you want to see one or two points, I will say, since the minister is present here, I will not dare to get into policies and investment issues and others, but I will just relate to you some of the data which we gather in our own work as Center for Policy Dialogue, which relates to this occasion. I think will be useful to get the perspective right. For an economist, we all understand that ICT is not an end in itself, it's a means. It is very well understood. A means to improve the welfare of the people. A means to improve the efficiency of production. A means to engage in a balanced way with the global economy. A means to improve the distribution of income in our country. So all these things are very important as we move. So when the ICT comes into the economy, it changes the product mix, it changes the production structure, it changes the production system in all the country. And those who do not have access to this new economy will be left behind. That's why the whole controversy of digital divide. So we all understand this particular part, and I don't, if this house is a converted house, I would have to tell you all about all these things. But I only know that when you apply these ICT technologies in certain ways, then your lifestyle changes as well. Okay, just to give a story, a small one, which could have happened with these authors. Mr. Habibullah Karim calling Mr. Mina, sending an SMS saying, I want to send you a document, but I cannot send it because my telephone is not working. So he said, I cannot send it, my telephone is not working. So what is your problem? I cannot read it out to you. I cannot fax it to you. Then Mr. Karim says, okay, he's a smart person. He says, okay, you email it to me. Well, no, I cannot tweet it to you. I cannot email it to you because my internet is down. And then Mr. Mina says, okay, forget the technology. I will cross the corridor and bring the document to you now. You see, this is how you reduce yourself to impersonalization when you use the ICT technology, that you do not want to cross over, do not want to write letters, do not want to talk to people, but we do tweet and SMS. But that's a joke. But what is the real challenge over here? I will just use two sets of data to you for 5 minutes and I will leave, or 2 minutes. The first one, which the authors have used as well, and I would also like to reiterate to you. It is the well-accepted network readiness index. If you look at the 2010-2011, where does Bangladesh stand? Obviously, Bangladesh stands within the low-income country grouping. And if you look at that, Bangladesh, amongst the 21 countries, Bangladesh is number 11. You see, Bangladesh is number 11 among the poor countries. So it is somewhere in the middle. Guess which are the countries above us in terms of network readiness index? Gambia. Kenya is a big one. Ghana is a comparable one. Zambia is also comparable. Malawi, if you know Malawi, you will be surprised that it is above us. Mozambique is above us. Uganda is a big one. Cambodia is above us. Tajikistan is above us. Benin is above us. So it's not a very flattering ranking in some way. Now, if you look at the components of why we are number 11 among 32 poor countries, I won't take the 100 countries because that will sound even worse, and I don't want to make you too depressed in the morning. You have a whole day to go. So there are three components over there. One is the policy environment, the other is the readiness, and the third one is the usage. Now look, incidentally, if you read the books, you will get in the leapfrogging chapter, you will get how many computers are sold, what is the internet penetration level, the mobile penetration levels, you will get all those numbers. I'm not repeating them, I want you to read the book and buy them as well. On the environment, if you see, where do we where do we stand in terms of the numbers? In terms of environment, the political and regulatory function is where we are the weakest amongst the three in terms of the market or other issues. So it is very surprising. On the other hand, we have made certain progress in the policies and the politics as well. So see, here we are there. On the readiness, in a very funny way, it is the business area where we are down. I thought the business area is up in Bangladesh. So it is there where you are down. And in fact, government is better than the business. That is the index showing up. I found that quite interesting in many ways. And if you look at the usage, it is the individual usage which is down, and it is business usage which is better. So if you make an analysis, you will see, whilst business and governments are doing fine, the citizens are not doing fine. One of the major reasons is that we do have a big population, and that makes our ratio always very, very low. Now, what is the reason why it is there? You know, at our center for the last 10 years, we have been doing survey for the World Economic Forum, which is known as the Davos Forum. And in Davos Forum, we have a set of questionnaires which relates to the information and communication technology and how the chief executives of various big institutions, and I want to talk about poverty and digitization over here. It's the corporate sector and the digitization. What are they telling about our current problems, why it is not moving? I will just give you 4 points and I will leave now. The first one is that perception of the government's priority to develop the ICT sector has improved over time. Over the last 1 decade, government has attached increasing priority to ICT sector across the last 10 years. So that's the positive part which the entrepreneurs are telling. The second point is, laws related to the use of IT have not developed properly. So you see that the regulatory framework issue which we saw in the readiness index, it gets reflected into the business perception. The third one, absorbing new technologies are very rare. New technologies is very rare. We are possibly doing re-engineering and absorption. Innovations are also very rare. And licensing of foreign technologies are also rare. So if you say the transfer of technology through FDI and other things are very little in this country. Research and development is also very low at the primitive stage. And at the same time, research institutions and product development linkages, that is the commercialization of the science and technology innovations, are also very, very low as it stands. So I think we know very well the roadmap. We know very well what are our problems. We possibly also have our resources, both human resources and financial resources. We just need a bit of a magic. I think if we just have a bit of a magic which is called good governance, I think we would have done much better. Now I will leave you with the thought that in the last chapter, Mr. Habibullah Karim and his associates have taken the privilege of taunting the economists. They have had a joke over there, and I couldn't accept that in a very calm way. So now I thought of something which what they do as that. Have you seen that joke that we have a dismal science and we always believe in suppose, and they always do action. Mr. Bill Gates, God save him, has gone to meet God. And when he met God, God said, given your big service to the world, I'm going to make an exception and allow you to choose between hell and heaven. Bill thought, great thing. So where do you want to go first? Well, I want to see the hell first. So God took him to hell. And hell was, the calm, serene atmosphere, lot of happy people playing around, snookers and everything. Young people all around singing, dancing, drinking. I will mention many other things. So, and he had a look at it and came and said, let's show me the heaven. Heaven. Meditation, serious people, with long faces. And Bill said, well, I take hell. After some time, God came back and saw Bill was shackled up on the wall. He was being tortured, flame all around. And he asked, Bill, how are you doing? Bill said, I was looking for you. Why did I end up here? You showed me the hell is so nice and I chose it and you put me here. How is that? God said, oh, that was a screensaver. You forgot. It was a better version. Thank you.